Now, an all-new Spectrum News 1 investigation, there's a push underway to crack down on what is called squatters who move into private homes and apartments and stay for long periods of time without the owner's permission. It is illegal here in California, but under state law, the unwelcome guests, they're often treated as tenants. Renee Yang joins us now with more on what she uncovered. Good evening, Renee.
Good evening, Giselle. So squatters can create a lot of problems for property owners. And even though what they are doing is illegal, they still have certain rights under California laws. And right now, it can sometimes take over a year and a lot of money to evict them, putting a strain especially on mom and pop landlords. Take a look. When Rob Casares bought this 4-unit property in South Los Angeles almost 15 years ago, he was hoping it would be a good investment and provide some housing. But instead, it's turned into a huge headache.
Boy, I didn't expect it to be this bad, but it's pretty bad.
He just evicted squatters.
They got in through here.
Who he says broke into the property almost a year ago.
And then broke in the window and then took out the lock.
He says it's taken about 9 months to evict them, leaving damage to the walls, flooring, and doors.
I feel bad for especially the children involved, right? They're innocent victims of all this, but I think what we're allowing to, perpetuating this kind of situation is not good for society in any measure.
It's not his first time in this situation. Casares says last March, he evicted squatters from 2 other units. That took about 2 years. All told, he's out 6 figures in lost rent and repairs.
Frustrating, aggravating. I've been very angry at times.
Casares' case isn't unique. We spoke with landlords and attorneys who say the eviction process can take more than a year due to a backlog of cases in court and limited law enforcement resources. Once someone breaks into a place and stays there for more than 30 days, squatters have certain tenant rights at that point, even if no lease agreement or consent was given. The man accused of squatting at the property claims he was wrongly evicted because he says he was paying rent to somebody who was living there previously, not the owner. He agreed to speak with us on the phone.
We were paying around $2,800 a month, for about a good 6 to 7 months.
He didn't provide evidence of his claims, but court records show there were 3 attempts to notify him about the eviction case in person. There was no answer, even to the notice sent by mail. Casares won his case by default. He says it's possible other squatters were living there in the past, but landlords must go to court to remove them if they stay more than 30 days, according to eviction attorney Avi Sinai.
It can take months. A lot of money, time, resources to try to get squatters out. Why does it take so long to evict a squatter?
Yeah, so if you call law enforcement and they determine it's a civil matter, unfortunately, you have to go through the court system because you cannot use self-help, meaning take them out forcibly, like changing the locks.
Tenant laws are meant to prevent unlawful lockouts and guarantee due process. Sinai says right now it takes at least 4 to 5 months to remove squatters due to a backlog from pandemic-era eviction moratoriums, a slow court system, and shortage of law enforcement officers to serve lockout notices. In 2025, the LA County Sheriff's Department served over 7,700 residential and commercial evictions, but there are over 2,100 lockouts and notices to vacate still pending. The agency told us that the law requires the Sheriff's Department to serve protective orders before any other civil process. Eviction process is of the next highest priority. However, as with all law enforcement agencies, we're very limited with our resources. Sinai says some landlords even resort to giving cash for keys, but there are other ways to combat squatting.
Secure your property, know what's going on there. Don't leave the property abandoned, unattended, or with clear sign of abandonment. That's the best way to combat squatting because squatters will look for properties like that.
A 2024 law also allows owners to submit a trespass authorization form for 12 months to local law enforcement. It lets them remove squatters without the owner being present. Casares says there should be more legislative reform and changes in state law to protect property owners.
Our courts are too slow. Enforcement is too slow. This is something when they break into your property, you should be able to just call law enforcement. They should be able to come and make the proper arrest.
In the meantime, he's left cleaning up the mess and hoping this doesn't happen again. So that property owner I interviewed for the story, Rob, he says he's been so frustrated by this whole process of evicting 3 squatters over 2 years that he's now considering selling the place. He's just really sort of over it. So.
He sounds like he's fed up. So Rob says, there's no city, county, state effort to combat this at all?
So there definitely have been attempts to pass bills and change laws in the California state legislature. There were actually 2 bills introduced last year that would have cracked down on squatters by setting up, let's say, a faster removal process and also just outlining a more strict definition of what it means to illegally occupy a property. And these bills would have also allowed law enforcement to remove squatters who don't have leases or proof that they paid rent within a 3-day window. Unfortunately, none of these bills passed, but we are in a new cycle. There is until February 20th to introduce new legislation, so we'll see what comes out of this.
Clock is ticking. How about landlords? What can they do?
So there are a variety of things that they can do to protect their property. For example, secure the property by installing fencing, cameras, and even motion lights, and make sure all the doors and windows are locked, and just regularly inspect your property. And also, if you do see someone break in and stay there, act quickly. You want to make sure that you file a police report right away and you start that eviction process right away also, because that can take at least 4 to 5 months, and also document everything, whether it's photos or even damage or camera footage.